Welcome everyone to a quick newscast here. Let's try this more regular, shorter from the recent polls. And one thing here, major thing, US investigators probing breach of code testing company Codecov, in case you're using that. They were breached the software auditing company Codecov, some automated security scanning stuff, affecting an unknown number of, affecting an unknown, certainly very small percentage, certainly only a handful, but wouldn't be surprised if all of the 29,000 customers, raising the knock-on breach at companies elsewhere. And so what is the issue? So they do code testing, and they were hacked, right? So, and if you do not do open source and do this closed source stuff, then potentially your code might be now in other people's hands. And this was not noticed for like a quarter. Mistakes and vulnerabilities January 3rd. However, the intrusion was only detected earlier this month, when also not detected by themselves, but apparently by some customer who's like, by the way, something off about the tool. All the ramifications of the incident remain unclear. The breach drew comparisons to the recent compromise of Texas software firm SolarWinds, alleging Russian hackers. Company says its websites and so on. Yada yada. Yeah. Also, I mean the code testing, automated scanning, statistical analysis, and because we still write in C and stuff, right? But it's worse. Next news site, still same topic, other news site reports additionally, Bash uploader dev tool compromised in supply chain hack. And what they mean here is what we usually see, and I said this 1,000 times, that this is not a good idea. And so many projects use, including Rust, of installing stuff with piping this stuff into your shell, remote code execution, because this stuff is totally super secure. Not. So this kind of, and who thinks this is a good idea? Executing some random code, it's like mostly only trusted with a SSL certificate until this is compromised. So you run there, hey, install our code coverage stuff of piping there some kernel into some bash thing. It's like, oops, that was backdoored for 3 months already. They learned, so April 1st, they learned someone had gained unauthorized access to their bash uploader. By the way, does this go to some nice website, or what do they say here? Do they, bash curl, it's like, I also want my hotkeys back this way in the future. But the Rust people still consider this is a good idea, and each time I raise this, always like, whatever, there's nothing to see, it's totally amazing. Based upon forensic investigation results today, it appears that there was a periodic unauthorized, also, it was only a periodic, it's not like it was a big major unauthorized access, most likely affecting 29,000, if not more, customers and trial users. But of course it was only a brief periodic unauthorized access to the Google Cloud Storage GCS key beginning January the 1st, so this is February, March, I guess 2 months, right? Third parties to alter the version of the bash updater to potentially export information subject to continuous integration to third-party servers. Like, what is more amazing than handing direct access to your code build server stuff? In similar news, direct access, Chinese, as reported here on Just Security, China's dystopian plan, new IP plan, shows the need to renew US commitment, or US, I would actually argue worldwide, and open commitment to the open internet governance. So what they propose here in Chinese released 14th 5-year plan, economic development last month, including the intended next steps in technology and as most stuff is built in China these days, like raises, of course, some questions, including 5G and or 6G, because they write here, plan on 6G and beyond makes US concerns over 5G look paltry. Huawei proposing a fundamental internet redesign, which they call new IP. It's like new IP. This, if they would have at least called this maybe new internet protocol. Yeah, new IP sounds like new intellectual property to me. It's like, did they meant it? Maybe. Built in intrinsic security into the web means individual must register to use the internet. Is that not amazing? The Chinese future, and also why, in case you're wondering why I do this funny show here and try to raise awareness of various topics, because man, what could possibly go wrong once we had an open internet, and then you need to register, and so that means authorities can shut off individual users' internet access at any time through the global routing of global registrations. Huawei looking to integrate China's social credit, surveillance and censorship regimes into the internet architecture. In case you were wondering, is security and what is the state of the future? New IP proposal itself rests on flawed technical foundations that threatens to fragment the internet into the mess and less interoperable, less stable and even less secure network. Avoid new IP shortcomings. Huawei has circumvented international standard bodies where experts might challenge the technical shortcomings on the proposal. Instead, Huawei has worked through the United Nations Internet Telecommunications Union (ITU), where Beijing holds more potential sway. Not sure if that is necessarily true, so you need a little bit of common sense and stuff. I mean, the ITU is not as it. It's, yeah. I mean, it sounds like ISO people. It's like, yeah, they use the ITU and not ISO, and now we are not happy. But ITU as it not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah. Appropriate place for review of the new IP concept would be the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, other standards being, and so on. In case you're wondering how the world develops and what's going on. In similar news, how the world develops and no boxes stuff. Here on some Belgium, I guess, website got some internal Facebook email, and they say here, according to some leaked emails, long-term strategy in response to the latest Facebook massive data leak. Assuming press volume continues to decline, like, yeah, nothing to see, go on, keep calm and carry on. We're not planning additional statements on this issue longer term, though. They expect at Facebook there are more scrapping incidents, and think it's important to both frame this as broad industry issues. So it's like, yeah, Facebook not protecting user data more, right? So translation, what does it mean? It's like, yeah, YOLO, Facebook gives a shit about your data. It's like, yeah, industry standard, data is scraped everywhere. It's normal APIs, normal advertising APIs, where you just can copy billion data sets or something. So in case you were wondering how these nice little companies are working there, and want to normalize the fact that this is actively happens regularly, in case you're wondering. Yeah, there we have that. In similar news, if you're wondering how the stuff going on the Windows side with all the gaming and stuff, people, apparently many people complaining over the internet. Just grabbed here one forced April update, issues experienced with the previous optional updates, random status, unstable FPS, VSync seems broken sometimes. It's like, yeah, hello, someone, state of Linux, Mac OS, Windows, like, yeah, hashtag peak bugs, and probably too big systems, too big to fail. In similar crazy news, some open source outrage there in some circles. of this tiny little change of removing some maintainer file. Here Lee Yuan Pen of Linux IBM fame wrote, making this change again, not sure what he means with again though, were there similar things before, but yeah, since they received the following instructions, I guess from internal IBM email. As an IBM employee, you're not allowed to use your Gmail account to work in any way on VNIC. You're not allowed to use your personal email account as a hobby. You are an IBM employee 100% of the time. Please remove yourself completely from the maintainers file. I grant you a one-time exception on contributing to VNIC to make this change. It's like, seriously, even granting a one-time exception to make this change. It's like, man. In case you were wondering why I didn't take Apple's offer and still sit here in my tiny little hobby and can do my hobby things, because I don't want to be a employee 100% of the time, after works, weekends and holidays, and no fun projects anymore. And this is really strange company culture. I can understand not wanting to do AAA paid work on the weekend when people should relax and have fresh energy for the next shift on the next Monday. But like, you are an IBM employee 100% of the time. It's like, this is totally how you motivate your people to work in an IT on, like, yeah, spending free time after works off the clock or on the weekend to work on the fancy tiny little Linux hobby kernel. In similar news, Chia cryptocurrency, recurring theme here, cryptocurrency worldwide, Bitcoin and stuff, using as much energy as multiple small states like Switzerland or Norway or Iceland or stuff. And of course, scraping all the GPUs for all the heavy lifting. Turns out Chia, the next potentially maybe cryptocurrency, is not using CPU time as proof of hashes, but vast amount of storage. And so the next shortage will probably be hard drives and SSD storage, because we didn't have shortage enough already. It's like, yeah. Do they have here proof of space model? So the new cryptocurrency is called Chia. It's like, yeah, we didn't have enough cryptocurrencies of destroying the world environment with just wasting electrons for no good reason. But yeah, after proof of what was it, proof of time, or what was the other, proof of space and proof of work model. So yeah, developing a peer-to-peer BitTorrent protocol, and Chia uses a proof of space time model rather than Bitcoin's proof of work model, meaning you don't need proof of work of CPU cycles, GPU cycles of hashing something, but having vast amounts of gigabytes of storage to perform the proofs. And as written here, difference means Chia relies on storage rather than processing time. To mine means less wasted electricity in the process. Nah. Sounds like a good thing, except the next shortages of, and it's not even Friday yet. Anyway, back in 2018, Chia raised 3 point, wait a second, is this does it mean, so this is an American comma, right? So this means 3.39, probably 3.3 million. Seed funding was the year 2021 or 2018 of, you need over 3 million to found your cryptocurrency. Yeah. Makes me tired, this crypto news, man. Good news is that ultimately it will be high-end enterprise drives that become the best way to mine Chia, so hopefully, not really impressed with all the crypto coin stuff. It also crashed recently, right? Alright, I could actually fact check of that crashed the other day of. But I'm not into that, never mind a single thing. But falls. In case you're wondering if that is a good things like there, I mean, first of all, environmental destruction, and I only hope that this eventually goes to death null, because yeah, waste of time and energy and components and stuff, and like, yeah. Because, by the way, I think there was some regulatory fears, I think, and also some, was it there? Hello. Lingering regulatory risk could end up cleaning the way for further updates in Bitcoin. Lawmakers sound favorable for the cryptocurrency's inclusion of traditional financial system. Nah, whatever. Anyway, mostly, of course, look out for a new IP, really devastating future there, and of course, code execution, what I regularly call out here, of piping remote stuff to your shell, of AAA remote code execution as its finest, and like basically inviting people into your system. And yeah, if you load your code not only to host it in the cloud, but give it to third parties to security scan and stuff, then yeah, no surprise, third parties have your code and it can leak. So that's it for this video. Let's see, this was probably 15 minutes something. Anyway, let's see how this format plays out. Maybe IT breaking news update a week or two, and let's see if it can somehow make this a working format. Otherwise, I hope you learned something, and stay healthy. See you next time.